In late August 2025, I used astrology to predict the price of Dogecoin. I put out an article on my Substack suggesting that from September 7th onwards, Dogecoin would go through a huge price increase, and then the price would tail off closer to the end of the month and go through a corrective period. And I used astrological graphs to make this prediction. Now, what we saw is that from the 7th of September onwards, Dogecoin went through a huge price rise, peaking at around 30 cents, and then nearer to late September, we went through a corrective dip and a tail off. Now, I'm going to go through the basic astrology on how I did this and how I predicted this price and how you can benefit from financial astrology. Now, I know what this sounds like. Surely you should never use astrology for any financial purposes. It sounds ridiculous. And on the surface, I agree. It sounds totally ridiculous, totally ludicrous. But if you do your research, you'll actually find that Wall Street were using astrologers as recently as the 1980s to gain certain advantages when it came to tracking markets and tracking cycles and tracking stocks. If you go back to ancient Greece and ancient India, astrologers have been known to track prices of commodities, wheat, grain, and goods based on the movement of moon cycles, amongst other astrological techniques. This is a field of study that sounds ridiculous, but has been with us for around 1,500 years and is definitely still used by the financial establishment today, whether you want to believe that or not. Now, the premise is pretty simple. All assets, whether they're stocks, cryptos, finance projects, they all have an initial birth date, just like a person does. We need an exact time, date, and place of birth to cast a chart. Now, the chart is just a graphical user interface of the kala, or the quality of time associated with the launch of that thing, the birth of it into the world. And so when it comes to cryptos, it's actually pretty easy because we have a immutable public blockchain available to us, which will give you the exact time, date, and place of genesis blocks or contract creation dates. With stocks, it can be a little bit harder because you have to find the exact time and date that they traded, which city was the market in, etc. But for crypto projects, we have an immutable public ledger. So I found the immutable public ledger of Dogecoin, and we know that it was released on December 6th, 2013 at around 2:25 in the morning in Portland, Oregon time. That was the Genesis block, the first block in the sequence of blocks that makes up the Dogecoin blockchain. From here, we cast a chart, and I noticed something very interesting. What I noticed is that for this chart of Dogecoin from the 6th of December 2013, now this transiting Jupiter was going to make its way directly onto the natal Jupiter, starting exactly on 7th of September. We also had some other astrological indicators for price rises. I suggested that from the 7th of September onwards, we'd see a major price rise, but tracking the ruler of the ascendant, this price rise would go through a huge correction and stabilize at the end of the month. Now, if we look at the chart for Dogecoin, it did exactly that, starting on September the 7th exactly. And I believe I can make further rough estimates on where the price for Dogecoin is going, especially as we head into October, November, and December. That is the premise. Now, no financial astrologer or astrologer as a whole can ever be 100% right. Obviously, that would be completely ludicrous, completely ridiculous. You can't expect that of anything. I mean, you can't even predict the weather with 100% accuracy, so why should we predict future events? But the chart, the astrological chart, is just a graphical user interface of the kala, that is the quality of time associated with an asset. And we can backtest price rises and falls with the clock of the chart. So we can see key price rise movements, track it to certain signatures, and then based on that past pattern, we will then project into the future. And sometimes those future projections ring true. I actually have an entire Substack dedicated to financial astrology where you'll find me analyzing charts for various niche crypto projects and other stocks. So please go and sign up to the Substack if you're interested in that work. The archetypal story of the Jupiter return is all about Dogecoin starting as a bit of a joke, a bit of a meme coin. It's known as the #1 meme coin. It's kind of just funny, using blockchain technology in a community internet humor type way. But the Jupiter return actually signaled something interesting, that this could rise to institutional legitimacy. And I suggested that based on a Uranus transit, we may even see surprise ETFs in September related to Dogecoin. What happened is we didn't get one, but we actually got 2 ETFs for Dogecoin that launched before October, which are actually in September, so much earlier than anticipated. And that was also a an aspect of my article that came true for Dogecoin. So Dogecoin is now looking to enter into financial legitimacy. It's got exchange-traded funds related to it, and investment inflows will be going into those ETFs and into Dogecoin. What I want to say for the Dogecoin enthusiasts is that October 3rd could see some significant price decreases, but we may see a strong recovery from October 7th onwards as the transiting sun conjuncts the natal ascendant of Dogecoin at 14 degrees Libra. Then better times should happen from October 14th onwards as we have transiting Venus entering Libra, its own sign, which is Dogecoin's first house. And we'll also have some transits to the second house. So I think we'll see October 3rd have a decrease for Dogecoin, a decent recovery by October 7th. And then by October 14th, we should be generally going towards an increase in price. So if you want to kind of draw the graph, I suppose my projected graph for September was up and then tail off and correct. My chart idea for October is decrease at the start. By the 7th, we may go up again, go up and down, and then 14th onwards, we may see a further increase. Now, if you're interested in financial astrology, which is a really interesting subfield of astrological study, please do check out my Substack. It's just called Rowan's Financial Astrology. There's really good quality articles in there, including the Dogecoin article, but we're looking at other cryptos such as HBAR. We're looking at Kronos. We're looking at very niche projects, which I don't think any other astrologer has really looked at in financial terms. And we're going to take a look at assets look particularly promising and when they look particularly promising. I've already given a lot of key dates out to my subscribers on that page, and we've already got some good accurate predictions. Not all the time. There's always going to be failures. There's always going to be misfires and mishits. The premise isn't 100% perfect prediction, but if we can target these key dates, it gives you a little bit of a competitive edge if you're into that kind of stuff. So just to say that I think you should check out my financial astrology Substack. I'm primarily using Vedic astrology with tropical rashis. You can learn more about that Vedic worldview, how this actually works in practice, what astrology is and isn't. And I think you'll find it pretty interesting if you're into the markets. So please check that out. Thank you for your support.